Death has fascinated and terrified people for as long as we've been alive. Some pass away quietly in their sleep, never feeling a thing. But history and medicine also show us that not every end is so merciful. Certain deaths are slow, drawn out, and remembered as among the most painful experiences a human body can endure. Whether it's fire, water, disease, or deliberate cruelty, these methods remind us just how fragile we are. Today, we'll explore the most painful ways to die, backed by science, history, and survivor accounts. Burning to death fire is one of humanity's oldest discoveries, but it's also one of its most feared killers. When trapped in flames, skin begins to burn within seconds. First and second degree burns cause intense pain because nerve endings are still intact. The skin blisters, cracks, and peels. Third degree burns can actually destroy those nerve endings, but by that point, the damage is so widespread that survival is nearly impossible. Smoke inhalation often kills before flames do, but those who experience both report unbearable agony. Historical tragedies like the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire in 1911 show how terrifying this death is. Victims didn't just suffer from flames, but also from suffocating smoke and toxic gases. Even in modern house fires, survivors describe pain so overwhelming that their bodies go into shock in minutes. Drowning. It is common for Hollywood to make drowning appear tranquil, but the reality is that it is chaos. At first, the body experiences a state of panic. In an effort to hold their breath, the lungs are burning. When oxygen levels drop, the body will urge itself to take a breath, but it will take in water rather than air. This feeling is comparable to taking a deep breath of fire. Severe muscle spasms, the brain fights to receive oxygen, and vision becomes more distant. People who survive the event frequently describe it as a primitive struggle against the unavoidable, a mixture of dread and pain. Historical shipwrecks such as the Titanic serve to remind us of the number of people who have been in this situation. Surrounded by icy water, their lungs filling up, and there being no way out of the situation. Radiation poisoning. There is a delay in death caused by radiation. It's a painful process that unfolds the body slowly over time. In addition to fever, victims experience nausea, vomiting, and dizziness. Blisters appear on the skin, hair begins to come out, and the internal organs start to shut down. The testimony of survivors of the Hiroshima and Chernobyl disasters describes an incomprehensible level of suffering. Within a matter of days, workers who were exposed to the Chernobyl disaster in 1986 had the skin falling from their bodies, their neurological systems disintegrating, and their organs dying. The fact that the victim frequently maintains consciousness for a sufficient amount of time to experience each stage of their body's collapse is what makes this type of death particularly terrible. Crucifixion. Perhaps the most infamous execution method in history, crucifixion was designed not just to kill, but to prolong suffering. Victims were nailed or tied to wooden crosses and left to hang for hours or days. Gravity made breathing harder and harder, forcing the person to push up against their wounds just to gasp for air. Muscles cramped, blood loss drained strength, and the pain never relented. The Roman Empire used crucifixion to send a message. This was punishment by agony. Historical records confirm it could take days before death came, usually from suffocation or shock. It remains one of the most excruciating deaths ever devised. Being eaten alive. As horrifying as it sounds, being eaten alive has happened throughout history. Explorers and villagers in remote regions sometimes fell prey to lions, tigers, or crocodiles. In some cases, the victim was fully conscious while parts of their body were being torn apart. Nature documentaries often show this happening to animals, but humans have shared similar fates. The pain of flesh ripping combined with raw terror makes it among the most terrifying deaths imaginable. Even shark attack survivors describe the moment as one of unbearable pain, mixed with shock and fear. Torture methods. Rack, flaying, impalement. History is full of torture methods that turned death into a slow, nightmarish process. The rack stretched victims' limbs until joints dislocated. Flaying peeled skin from the body while the victim screamed in agony. Impalement involves skewering a person and leaving them to die over hours or even days. These methods weren't about efficiency. They were about inflicting maximum pain for as long as possible. Records from medieval Europe and ancient empires show that such executions were public, meant to terrify others into submission. Starvation and dehydration. Starvation kills slowly, often over weeks. At first, hunger pains dominate. The body burns through fat reserves, then begins consuming muscle. Eventually, even organs start breaking down. Victims feel weakness, cramps, and confusion before finally slipping into unconsciousness. Dehydration is even faster and more painful. Within days, lips crack, skin dries, and the body overheats. Muscles spasm, seizures occur, and the thirst becomes unbearable. Prisoners in sieges and desert explorers often face this fate. The body desperately wants water, but none comes. Snake venom and poisoning snake bites can be deadly and agonizing, depending on the species. Some venoms attack the nervous system, causing paralysis and suffocation. Others destroy blood cells, leading to internal bleeding and organ failure. Victims often experience burning pain at the bite site, nausea, dizziness, and convulsions before death. Poisoning works similarly. Consuming toxic plants like hemlock or chemicals like cyanide can cause hours of suffering before death. Historical figures, including Socrates, died from poison, often enduring violent cramps and hallucination, being crushed to death. Crushing deaths occur in natural disasters, accidents, or collapses. Buildings falling in earthquakes or heavy machinery accidents often trap victims under tons of weight. Bones break instantly, but if the person survives the initial impact, the real pain begins. Crush syndrome sets in. Damaged muscles release toxins into the bloodstream, causing kidney failure, seizures, and unbearable pain. Trapped miners or earthquake victims often endured hours or days before rescue or death arrived. Electric shock, high voltage. Electrocution can sometimes kill instantly, but often it does not. High voltage shocks burn skin, damage muscles, and overload nerves. Victims describe the sensation as fire running through their veins. The heart may beat irregularly, causing cardiac arrest, but sometimes the person remains conscious while their body shuts down. Historical executions by electric chair weren't always quick. Records show prisoners writhing in pain as multiple shocks were required to finally kill them. That makes electrocution both unpredictable and torturous. While it's not a pleasant thought, history and medicine show us that death can come in many forms. Some are quick, merciful, and almost peaceful. Others are long, brutal, and filled with suffering. From the flames of a burning building to the slow decline of radiation poisoning, these painful ends remind us of both the fragility and resilience of the human body. Talking about the most painful ways to die isn't about fear, it's about perspective. Understanding suffering makes us value life more deeply and reminds us why safety, health, and compassion matter.